Hello everyone, welcome to Repair for Everyone. Today we're going to be fixing a Galaxy S8 LCD. So I've already removed the back. So some of my other videos I show how to remove the backs already. So just watch one of those. So what you're going to do is take out all these screws in the back. Or just loosen them up. You don't actually have to physically remove a lot of them. Those come out when you take out the tray. They're all the same size, so you don't have to worry about too much keeping these ones organized. There is a couple screws, however, after you take out these plates that are different sizes. Also, another optional tool you might want to use for this video is a heat plate or a heat gun on a low setting, or like a hair dryer. Something to provide some heat to make separating some of the adhesives a little bit easier. Alright, then you want to slowly peel up that. This thing will just pop out. Oh, actually I left a piece of adhesive right there. This one's already been fixed before, so it might be a little bit easier to do this one than other repairs. Just gonna place it aside. So what you want to do first is disconnect the battery. Then all the ribbon cables. I don't like to connect these two from the board, because if you're gonna remove these, sometimes you can actually break these connectors. So connect them from the charging port, because these ones are replaceable, those ones aren't. Then we're going to take out the screws for the charging port. These ones I like to keep organized because some of them are different sizes. Then disconnect this, the headphone jack cable. I like to use my Phillips screwdriver and just go in there and carefully pry up. Put it aside. Next thing you want to do is pop out the SIM card tray. Failing to do so will result in you possibly busting your board. Put this aside. Then, now that all these ribbon cables are out of the way, we're going to lift up slowly. Make sure you don't snag any of your cables in the way. Just note that the charging port's connected in the back. So what I like to do is just push downwards when it's lifted up a little bit like that, and set this aside. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on the heat plate for a few minutes, let it heat up. And once it's warm, the adhesives will soften up, and then I'll remove all these components. Alright, now that you've heated up your device, it'll make it a lot easier to remove some of the components. What I like to do is take the battery out first, peel it up. You want to work kind of fast, Then I like to remove that guy, the proximity sensor. Ours already has the earpiece, so I'm not moving that one over. Camera. And the vibration motors are a little tricky sometimes. Then I'm going to do the charging port. Lift away from the side of that wall. Lift that out. Then we are going to transfer the components back to the new device. First thing you want to do though, remove any shipping materials. Any sort of tabs or stickers that get in the way of the repair. Alright, once you have all the components out, it's time to reinstall them. I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, so I'm actually reinstalling this device and putting it back together. There's a little tab that the charging port goes under. Right over here, there's a little metal niche right there. Then we're going to put the battery, the vibration motor, the camera, put the motherboard back in. So putting the motherboard back in, what you want to do is get behind it after you put the charging port in and clip it in that way. This will give you a little bit more mobility. Then when you lower it down, you want to make sure that both of these cables are in this groove on the side of it. Also, you want to check and make sure that all the rest of your cables
What about this one?
Alright, once you got your board back in the phone, connect this, your camera, the screen itself, this is, I believe, is an antenna band. It's part of the charging port. Make sure everything's kind of pressed into place. Also, you want to make sure this guy's connected. This is your headphone jack. It's very nice the way they designed it, because if you ever break those, you can replace it. Some of the newer models of the phone, they do not allow that possibility. It's soldered in. Click those in. Alright. Then what we're going to do is install the battery. So what I like to do, this one actually has a little bit of adhesive already in there, so I don't need to put more tape in. What I like to do is actually hook the battery to the board. And once it's hooked in, then hold my finger down and then pivot the battery downwards. That way you make sure that you get a good connection. They actually add a little crinkle in there. They give you a little bit of wiggle room, which is very nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put all the plates back on. So they kind of overlap in a little bit, like a puzzle. So I don't click them all the way down. This one kind of fits underneath the top one. You're going to hear a snap. Pop these in place. Now we're going to put the screws back in. So before you close up the device and finish putting all the screws in, it's a great opportunity to make sure that you didn't forget to put screws in, like a charging port, for example. Always check your screws and make sure you put everything in place. That's why I like to organize everything, so in case you ever forget, nothing's irreversible. The only time it really becomes an issue if you forget to put screws in is if you already sealed the device down with adhesive. The only time it really becomes an issue if you put the screws in wrong or forget to put the screws in properly or in the right places is if they're longer than others. Most of these screws inside this device, especially the Samsungs, they're actually very good about that. Most of them are uniform in size, which they probably cut down on production costs, but also makes it easier to repair. So now that you got all your screws properly in, make sure everything's clicked down, and we're going to put all the screws back in. Before I put the back on the device, I'm going to test the device out. Make sure the screw-in's working properly. So the screen is working. So what I'm going to do is put the SIM card tray back in. And once it turns on, I'm actually going to turn it back off, and then I'm going to install the home button on the back. Once your device is fully off, now it's time to put some adhesive on the back. Alright, so what I'd like to do is I take the Tesa tape, line it up with the edges, I actually like to separate the home button from the back glass and then place it on the device. Then we're going to remove the backing from the adhesive and finish the installation. When you click it in first, it assures that everything is in the right place. Like to line it up with the top of the phone. And there you have it. The Samsung Galaxy S8 screen repair.